All right, now, so let's take a look. We're going to add a fire to the fireplace. But first, let me just see. I think there's a lot of light in this scene. Let's just check out. We'll do a quick render. We do see there's a fair amount of light. Let's just put a roof, like a temporary roof on the house. We'll do a better roof later. So I'm just going to create a polyplane. Again, this is just for, it's really not, it doesn't have to be perfect. So let's scale it. And just, you can look at it from the side and make sure it's sort of just fits down over like a lid on the house. And, you can make it have a different kind of size if it's too long in one direction. Okay, so it doesn't have to be totally, you could even just make sure it's going to block out the light. We can render it from inside, and we see that it's doing a pretty good job of blocking out the light. You can see we have double planes and we're getting some reflection in there. We can mess around with that later, but for now, let's just make a fire in the fireplace. You can also take some of these lights and decrease their intensity if you think that's just too much light altogether. Yeah, it probably is. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of bouncing back and forth with these windows. So maybe I'll just get rid of that light and maybe that light. You can always just hide them and bring them back if you wish. Okay, so zooming in here, I just made some really not very attractive logs there by just making some cylinders and just shaping them a little bit with the soft select. But we're going to make an automatic fire. We're going to borrow a pre-made fire. There's lots of ways to make fire that are harder than other ways, so just bear with me with this. We'll do some more fluid stuff later. I'm going to use a Bifrost fluid. I'm in the FX mode. If you don't see Bifrost fluid, that's fine, don't worry. Just go to your Windows, Settings Preferences, and look for Plugin Manager. And you probably have to scroll down. Might not have to go all the way to the bottom. I think it's in alphabetical order. There's this long list that's in alphabetical order, and then underneath that there's some subsections, and one of them is Bifrost, so you can just load it. You can load the different things here. Just go ahead and load them all, and you can always just refresh and go like this, and you should see them here. If you don't, let me know. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to Get Example, and you kind of have to hunt around here. I'm going to go into Examples, Effects, and Fluid Examples, and Fire. And I'm going to get this campfire. So if I double click in it, it's going to come up in my scene, and it's going to be this kind of giant, has two parts to it. It's got an emitter and a fluid container. If I grab them both and raise them up a bit, you can see there's the fluid emitter. And if we play our timeline a little bit, we'll see that we have one there. Oops, and I still have my other one that I made earlier. I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, we don't want that one. I'll use the new one. Okay, so, and you can also see I made some groups here. I have a group for the fireplace. Okay, so there's my campfire. Let's just spin it around. We can look in that channel box and spin it 90 degrees because we want it to go against this back wall here, and we want to scale it in a bit. If you're having any problems with scaling, you can always come in here to the attribute editor, and sometimes it's better to scale it here. So X, Y, and Z. So X, Y, and Z. Maybe we'll do, let's try 2. Oh, that's just where it sits. So let's try the scaling. Let's say 0.5. That's the wrong one. So scale 0.5. You can see we can scale it there, 0.5. And you can kind of play around with the scaling. I'm going to try to put mine here inside of the fireplace. You may have to kind of look at it from some different angles to get it to look there. You can press 4 too on your keyboard, and then you'll be able to see some of the scale even more. Maybe it needs to be a little smaller. A little smaller. Okay, I'm going to go back to 0 frame or 1 frame. Okay, so maybe I'll put it down a little bit. And if you press play, you'll be able to see the simulation in that view. If you press 5, you can see the color of it. So let's see what happens when we render now. I'm just going to back up the camera a little bit. Remember, your camera is a 35 millimeter, I believe, so it kind of cuts things out pretty easily. So you can always change that if you wish, but let's just see what happens when we render this. It looks pretty good, you know, and again, you can take out some more of the lights or even just dim them if you wish. I made a group for the lights, so we could say, okay, we want that to be, this light to be, yeah, a little smaller in its intensity. And then you can kind of start to see how that's going to look. Okay, you don't have to render it all the way if you don't want to. There's another one. Maybe we could bring that down, 0.5. This one's over the bed, 0.5. And this one is over by the bed too. So if we bring that down to 0.25 and then go back inside. Let's see, it might be too dark now. Save your work every now and then, render. Looks pretty good. Yeah, so it's really up to you how you want that to work. You can keep playing it, and I'll show you, those of you who don't know how to render individual frames, I can show you that next time we meet, because we'll do a moving camera. But just make sure, you know, when you do, probably not use EXR unless you really want some big files. And remember, you can change this to 720. You can do bigger or smaller if you wish, but 720 is usually a pretty good size. Okay, so make sure to save. You could bring your fire into your fireplace group if you wish. You can middle mouse drag things within here to place them into groups. Oops. Fireplace. So now that's in the fireplace, you can see. Okay, so that's it, and we'll work on this some more.